Have you ever wondered what would happen if the strongest sorcerer alive was not an only child? What if Satoru Gojo came into this world with a brother, a twin, born just a few minutes later? How would the Jujutsu world react? And how would things change? Let's find out. Our story begins on the night of Gojo's birth when something unexpected happened that shocked the entire clan. Satoru Gojo was born with the 6 eyes and the limitless. Usually that would be a reason to celebrate. However, just a few minutes later, Ryomen Gojo was born. That is right, twins were born in the Gojo clan. This was a serious matter. Although Satoru was blessed, he was cursed with a twin. In the Jujutsu world, twins share their attributes with each other, making them drag each other down, never able to reach their true potential as a sorcerer. The head of the clan then decided that, for the future of the clan, Ryomen should be sacrificed, erased from history as if he was never born. But their parents refused such thing. And by threatening to leave the clan, there was no other choice but to let Ryomen live. At least for now. Years passed and the consequences of their birth quickly began to surface. Although Satoru was gifted with the 6 eyes and the limitless technique, he began to present a low amount of cursed energy. The 6 eyes, however, gave him a perfect output and control over it, limiting this problem. Ryomen, on the other hand, born with the shrine technique and with never-seen-before levels of cursed energy, twice the amount of any sorcerer that had ever lived. He was a force to be reckoned with. However, his low output and control over his energy pushed him back. Although the twins grow up displaying way more advanced skills than your average sorcerer by a young age, they are surrounded with all kinds of gazes and comments, especially Ryomen. His brother can't become our weapon because of him. Maybe it would be better if he was never born at all. They don't say this to Ryomen directly, but he still listens. He grows up in a house that has made its priorities legible. He sees which child the elders speak to first. He sees whose training schedule receives the senior instructors and whose receives whoever is left over. He sees the way they look at him when they think he isn't watching. When the twins are 7 years old, they hear the first direct comment from an elder saying that Satoru would be further along without the burden of the twin bond. Satoru stands in the hallway behind Ryomen, and when Ryomen turns around, he looks at his brother and then walks past the elder's room, and he keeps walking until they're both outside. And then he says simply, "They're wrong." Ryomen walks beside his brother and doesn't say anything about it. Then Satoru turns to him and says, "Leave it to me. I will get us away from this house." A few years pass, and Satoru eventually fulfills his promise. They arrive at Jujutsu High together, because there was never a version of events where Satoru would let the clan decide otherwise. He told them plainly that he would attend only if Ryomen attended with him, and the clan, weighing the value of Satoru's cooperation against the inconvenience of accommodating his twin, agreed. Ryomen walks into Jujutsu High carrying everything the clan said about him like luggage. And then he puts it down and starts fighting. Because here's the thing about Ryomen Gojo that the clan's assessment missed entirely. Buried as it was under the output problem and the twin doctrine and the institutional need to rank and categorize everything. He is a genius, not in spite of the difficulty he has converting his cursed energy, but in some ways because of it. He has spent his entire childhood fighting his own power, learning to work around limitations that would have broken most sorcerers before they reached high school. His understanding of technique fundamentals is deeper than almost anyone at the school because he had to understand them fully just to function. He excels, ahead of Geto. Ahead of every other student, he is even ahead of Satoru Gojo. It is the first time in his life that he has been allowed to be first at something. And he takes to it with a ferocity that surprises even the people who didn't underestimate him. Geto notices immediately. Geto, who is sharp and analytical and always watching, sees Ryomen for what he actually is, rather than what the Gojo clan filed him as. The friendship forms between all three of them, Satoru, Ryomen, and Geto. For the first time, things are good. Not easy. The Jujutsu world makes nothing easy, but good. For now. And then the Star Plasma Vessel mission comes. And hey, if you're still watching at this point, you might as well subscribe. It costs absolutely nothing, and you can always change your mind later. But for now, come join us before this story reaches its peak. Let's continue. The mission parameters are clear. Escort the vessel to the merger with Tengen. Neutralize any threats. 3 of them together should be more than sufficient. At the same time, Toji Fushiguro was given a mission to stop them and kill the vessel, and so the sorcerer killer waits. The events play out like in the original timeline, and then the moment that changes, everything comes. Undetectable Toji stabs a tired Satoru from behind. Ryomen sends a dismantle, forcing him to back off. He prepares himself for a fight, but Satoru tells him to leave with Geto and protect Amanai. They obey, and the moment they leave, Toji smiles at Gojo, and the battle begins. The fight is everything Toji expected. Gojo is powerful, but he can't be reckless with his low cursed energy. Toji knows that, and just like in the original timeline, Gojo falls for the inverted spear. Then Toji moves on, kills the vessel, and fights a furious Geto. The fight is shorter, and Geto goes down injured, alive only because Toji has other priorities. Ryomen. He stands across from the surviving twin and tells him with the flat honesty that Gojo fought well. That it wasn't the 6 eyes that failed him. That the problem, as far as Toji can assess it, was always the drain. That Satoru would have won if he'd had all the fuel that his technique was supposed to run on. Ryomen replies with a question. What was that supposed to mean? Toji replies, I am saying that if you didn't exist, Satoru would still be... Before he can finish that sentence, he's almost sliced in half. Ryomen launches in his direction with a mirage of cleaves and dismantles. He is furious and intends to kill Toji. But he is too fast and his weapon is nullifying his ability. Toji grins and prepares to stab him when he suddenly hears the words, Domain Expansion. Pushed to his limits, Ryomen has unlocked the peak of Jujutsu sorcery. The barrier closes around him. In any other case, this would have ended here. But Toji is not normal. With 0 cursed energy, Toji simply walks out of the domain and breaks it from the outside. Then he stabs an exhausted Ryomen. I thought you would give me a harder fight after I killed your brother. And Ryomen replies with a smile. Don't you understand what that means? Satoru Gojo, on the edge of death, does what no sorcerer in the modern era has managed before him. He unlocks reverse cursed technique through the pure biological imperative of a body that refuses to stop. The positive energy heals him from the inside out. And with access to the positive energy, something else unlocks, the full potential of the limitless. In the moment Toji is about to kill Ryomen, he feels it. But before he could turn around, he had already been killed by a purple. Ryomen looks up at his brother, healed, transformed, radiating a level of power that wasn't there before. He realizes that his brother not only has become stronger, he is operating on a whole new different level. Satoru has become the strongest. He is sent on missions alone. For the first time, the twins were separated. Geto's fall in this timeline is slower and more deliberate than it was in the original. He has Ryomen to talk to, someone who carries his own complicated relationship with the Jujutsu world's accounting of human value. Someone who understands, viscerally, what it means to be counted as less than you are. He doesn't push. He asks questions. He listens. He reflects Ryomen's own feelings back at him. The Jujutsu world, Geto says, never wanted Ryomen. It tolerated him because of Satoru. It blamed him for Satoru's limitations without ever giving him credit for Satoru's victories. And now, on the other side of the worst night of both their lives, Satoru has become something even more extraordinary, and Ryomen is still standing in the same place. Doesn't that tell you something, Geto says, about what this world thinks you're for? I plan to change this world for good. You, my friend, you are not weak, and we will show that to this world. Years pass. Both Geto and Ryomen have long vanished. Yuta Okotsu arrives at Jujutsu High carrying Rika with him. The school reorganizes around his presence, around the enormous cursed energy he carries and hasn't learned to control. Most of the events play out like in the original. The curses are released, the sorcerers dispelled, and Yuta left to protect Jujutsu High alone. Ryomen deals with all the other students in an instant, until only Yuta is left, or at least that was the plan. But this time Gojo is there. He tries to reason with both of them, but they don't listen. The fight that follows is the one Ryomen has been dreading and moving towards simultaneously. Geto against Yuta, Ryomen against Satoru. His domain is better now. Months of refinement, driven by nothing except the need to close the gap that the Star Plasma Vessel mission tore open. It opens cleanly, without the ragged desperation of the first time. But Satoru did not fall behind. He too has unlocked his domain. Their first clash ends in a tie. The fight continues and both of them land one hit after another. And then Gojo connects a black flash. Their techniques recover at the same time, and once again they clash their domains. This clash is longer, more deadly. They give to it everything they got, and then Ryomen's energy reserves run low. His domain breaks and he is hit with unlimited void. Ryomen loses. Yuta also defeats Geto as Gojo stands over his brother, and for a long moment, no one moves. Satoru's face goes still as he looks at Ryomen and asks him to come home. Ryomen gets up. Until I become stronger, I have no home. He then grabs Geto's body and walks away. 1 or 2 years pass, and Kenjaku finds Ryomen alone. He arrives wearing Geto's face, and Ryomen nearly kills him before he gets a word out, but he stops himself only because something in the cursed energy signature is wrong. Geto, but not Geto. Kenjaku introduces himself, apologizes for taking the form of his best friend. He tells Ryomen the truth, that he has been watching, that he understands what Ryomen is, that the incalculable cursed energy reserve housed in a body that can't properly output it is not a flaw but an unfinished design, and he knows how to finish it. He offers a binding vow. Ryomen's help in return for his help acquiring more power. Ryomen asks him what he can teach him that he doesn't know already, and Kenjaku replies, an open domain expansion, a domain technique operating without the physical shell that limits its application. With this, no domain would stand a chance against his. The price: help the disaster curses evolve. Push them toward the threshold they can't cross alone. Accelerate the conditions Kenjaku needs for the culling games. And then, when the time comes, defeat Satoru Gojo. Ryomen asks Kenjaku why he should believe any of this is possible. Kenjaku shows him. A demonstration, partial, enough to prove the concept is real. The domain opens without a barrier. The sure hit falls on 3 targets simultaneously across a radius that makes conventional domain expansion look primitive. It works. That night the binding vow was created, with the condition that Ryomen would not kill his brother once the battle was over. Ryomen keeps his part of the deal and helps every curse reach new highs. Among them was Mahito, the key to Kenjaku's plan. And then on October 31st, the games begin. The disaster curses now evolved past the threshold they occupied in the original timeline tear through everything. The colonies fill with blood. The higher-ups scramble and fail to contain what was built to exceed containment. And Ryomen moves toward his brother. He finds him in the wreckage of the 3rd colony. Satoru has been fighting continuously for hours, holding the line across multiple fronts simultaneously, burning through the cursed energy that has always been the engine of his invincibility. The 6 Eyes are tracking 100 things at once. He is, as he always is, managing the impossible and making it look effortless. He sees Ryomen coming and stops. Around them, everything else stops too. The disaster curses that were pressing from every direction find reasons to be somewhere else. Even the culling games seems to hold its breath. You are responsible for this, aren't you? Satoru asks. Ryomen stays silent for a minute and then says, I am here to fight you, Satoru. I won't live in your shadows anymore. Heal your wounds, recover your energy. Tomorrow, we settle the matter. Kenjaku wonders why he didn't just defeat him there, and he replies that this fight must be a fair one. The next day comes. The colony is empty. With the sole exception of the twins, only one GOJO can be the strongest. The battle begins and Satoru throws everything at him. Red and blue deployed at ranges that reshape the geography around them. Hollow purple aimed with the precision that the 6 Eyes make possible. He is, as he has always been, immaculate. Ryomen slashes level the city and hit Satoru. That has turned off infinity to increase the duration of his energy. He plans to win like last time, by exhausting Ryomen's energy. But both of them are being careful with the amount of attacks, prioritizing close combat over anything else. Satoru knows that he needs to play riskier, and so he opens his domain. Ryomen laughs and replies with something Satoru had never seen, an open domain. It cuts through Satoru's barrier and the sure hit arrives from every direction simultaneously over a 400-meter area. To survive, GOJO is forced into overusing his RCT, but not even the 6 Eyes can make his energy last forever. Satoru GOJO falls. I am the strongest, Satoru. Now everyone sees that. Satoru smiles. I always knew that. And then something unexpected happens. Kenjaku intervenes and kills Satoru in front of Ryomen. Ryomen stands in the silence afterward, tears running down his face. This wasn't our deal, Kenjaku. Ryomen shouts as his eyes change color to a shape of blue. I will kill you for this. In the end, Ryomen GOJO stands alone, the strongest sorceress to ever exist. The one with the 6 Eyes, the shrine technique, and twice the most amount of energy anyone ever had. In the search to prove his strength, he has destroyed every colony, caused the death of his brother, something that even revenge couldn't heal. And now he stands alone as the culling games have come to an end. And the world is about to be destroyed. Maybe I really shouldn't have been born at all.